So the first one is a new sidewalk permit on 25 Winooski Falls, Suite 110 for Mataralo Baked Goods. So his proposal is to have 2 to 4 tables.
Nice.
Okay. Anyone here from there? No. Okay.
Sounds great to me.
No concerns from council?
No concerns.
So I want to make a motion to approve the sidewalk permit for Matarella Baked Goods.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The second one is, it was presented to you at the last council meeting for Golden Hour.
Oh, yes. Anyone here from there? No. Would someone like to make a motion to formally approve this one?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and the next one, John Finney is here from Four Quarters. This is an outside consumption permit. The map was included with the proposed parking spaces. This is all part of their lease that they have with Four Quarters. So John, come up and talk about it.
Thank you. So I think, in terms of what we're requesting, hopefully it was relatively straightforward. It is a relatively unique opportunity, we think. As the summer has gone on, we've had little forays into taking more advantage of the parking lot and the adjacent green space. We think that we've got Larry Williams here as well, who's the principal of Redstone, owner of Four Quarters. He can answer any questions or concerns as well if any come up. But yeah, we think it's a really unique opportunity to build, an outdoor hospitality or indoor-outdoor hospitality venue right in downtown Winooski. Obviously it would represent a more significant area in terms of square footage than a simple sidewalk permit. But as mentioned, we do have, relative control of that area by terms of our lease, and so I'm happy to answer any concerns or questions that anybody might have.
And you just want to elaborate on what you're proposing?
Sure. So the proposal would be to have music outdoors, food and beverage consumption and sales outdoors. The food sales would be by means of food trucks. So theoretically, we'd park a couple of food trucks. We also have a beer trailer, which we could use as an outdoor service point. So if you can imagine the sort of L-shaped parking lot, we could have kind of food trucks at either end and maybe some beer sales in the middle there. And additionally, our normal hospitality venue would remain open during those times. Obviously this is a warm weather sort of endeavor, so unlikely to be as relevant in the colder times of the year. I guess additionally, in terms of parking concerns, we do see that the use of that lot is typically, Four Quarters only on the weekends. So the focus would really be on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if we want to even go down the road of talking about a kind of weekend only use, but it's unlikely that we would avail of that lot during the week unless it was a particular special event.
So you're proposing on these certain times when it makes sense, repurposing that whole private lot as like an outdoor.
We'd love the ability to do so. I think it's something that's going to take some growth over time. I don't even know if, by the time that the weather starts to turn cold, if we'll build a big enough following to actually use the whole thing. Right now, we've just been doing one food truck parked in the upper section of the lot and a few outdoor tables, and people have appreciated that. And so, over time it might grow to something big enough where we could reasonably avail ourselves of the whole lot. But, in the first instance, it's unlikely, but we wanted to propose the entire lot and the green space so we can take advantage of it when the time is right.
Okay.
So are you looking for year-round, or is it just a typical outside that goes to November 30th?
I think, in the interest of, giving marketing team the ability to think of something that might be fun to do out there in the wintertime, it would be nice to consider it as a year-round possibility. But again, the likelihood of us using it frequently in the colder months is lower.
Are there any concerns from staff?
Yes, so I reached out to, Martin Provost, who's the liquor investigator with DLL, this was new, just to see if there's any other, events like this that he's been aware of. He was just insisting, which I relayed to John, that there would be some designated parking spots for handicap accessibility. So that's something he can talk to you about. I reached out to Bruce Palmer, sent him everything from our code enforcement, and he said the barriers need to be something more than caution tape, i.e. Jersey barriers, crowd fencing.
Okay. Questions from counselors?
I wonder if you've engaged with Downtown Winooski much on this. I know that they've talked about food trucks, pros, cons, the main concern being that food truck events could pull away from the restaurants that are downtown. A worry I particularly have right now is we're going through construction, and restaurants are hurting due to that, and we will soon start construction on our bridge, which will also have some impact. So I just wonder what conversations you've had with Downtown Winooski in terms of bringing more food trucks into the area.
We haven't had any conversations on that topic. We sort of figured that the order of operations was to figure out if it was possible from a regulatory point of view before we engage in that regard. But certainly, as a general matter, we are looking to engage more with the businesses in the area. We have already been talking about potentially a partnership with the farmers market as an example. So, it could be on some weekends, maybe once a month, we have the farmers market there rather than food trucks.
Yeah.
We would try to, engage to a degree. Up until the point that, we're already natural competitors to the other businesses in the
Right.
area. So, to what degree that they would welcome that conversation, I don't know. But, your point is well made.
Thank you.
And Four Quarters does have that entertainment permit year-round.
That was what I was gonna ask, like obviously comply with our outside sound regulations. One other thing, actually kind of similar to Thomas's question, is thinking about prioritizing working with other Winooski businesses like the ones on Main Street that maybe they also have food trucks, and because their businesses are hurt while construction's happening, maybe partnering with them too, if that's something you've considered.
Haven't considered it, but again, it's another well-made point, and certainly we, consider ourselves a Winooski first business. So, if there is an opportunity to use a local food truck, we would love to do so.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Do any members of the public have a question or concern about this proposal? Or if you're on Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature. Are there any strong concerns from council? I would lean towards keeping the dates seasonal like the rest of our outside usage. Do we have anyone else that has year-round outside sidewalk
We have
permit?
one,
Oh, we do?
the Keys.
Oh, because that's an interesting point. And this is like a permanent private space too.
Yeah.
Okay, I retract that concern. Well, so I think if someone wants to make a motion to approve this, can we bake in ensuring that there are some handicap accessible parking spaces and the barriers requirements from the code enforcement? Okay. Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Thomas. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks so much.
And explaining. That is the end of the Liquor Control Board meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Aurora, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. All right. so it is 6:10 PM. Call to order the Winooski City Council meeting. First up is agenda review. Any concerns about the order of the agenda this evening?
Just if we could pull off from consent into regular, the appointments. We do have a guest, so we'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself.
Okay, we will pull those in ahead of item A so that we can do them first. Can I have a motion to, well, no, it only requires one request, right?
Yes, although I'm not on our council,
That's true, that's true.
I was going to make that request,
Okay.
so.
We will do that. Public comment is next. We have a lot of people here, so if you are waiting for an item that's on this evening's agenda, we will invite public comment during those actual individual items, but if you're here for some other purpose, now is the time to come make public comment. Please join us, and if you could introduce yourself.
My name is Peter Burns. I understood that there would be a discussion tonight about the proposed bike lanes on the Fountain Street, but it looks like,
It's been pushed to September.
okay, but I can still.
Yeah,
make
sure,
comments
please do
about
share
it.
your thoughts.
All right. I am a year-round bicyclist. I don't own a car. I live on Niquette Court, just off the Fountain Street. So this is the kind of thing that affects me every single day. When I am riding my bicycle on either side of Niquette Court, I have to swerve. I either have to wait for traffic behind me to go past me, or I have to swerve out into traffic and hope that they will continue to pass by me. Just briefly, I am one of the founders of the Winooski Bike Gang, which some of you may have heard of. Mm-hmm. We ride every Wednesday here in Winooski. We bring between 70 and 75 riders in every Wednesday who use local businesses, who buy beer at Four Quarters. So we feel, I feel and we feel strongly that bicyclists are an important part of Winooski. The infrastructure so far in the city is not very good, frankly, and even accidental things which aren't designed particularly for bicyclists can be great. All the parking removed on Weaver Street makes it easier and safer for me to ride home every afternoon, even without a bike lane. So that I feel that any bike lanes that are available for cyclists will make a difference. And I don't need to go into why bikes are great, the ecological reasons, the economic reasons, the traffic reasons. I'm sure you all know those already. I would point out that there are no, as far as I know, no businesses on the Fountain which would be affected negatively by not having parking. That was the big battle on North Winooski Avenue, which still being in Burlington, which is still being fought. And just on a personal note, it's always a little strange for me to think that people feel somehow they have the right to put their private property on the public thoroughfares. We all, so many people do it, so it seems natural, but it is a strange thing that somehow somebody who lives on the street feels like they have the right to put their car there out on the street. And there's a lot of emotions that revolve around that. But I will say that while removing parking and putting in bike lanes will perhaps cause some inconvenience, it may also save people's lives who are on bicycles.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have, no, sorry, just inviting if there's other folks here for public comment. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. My name is Ryan Delaney. I live in Winooski. I also rode my bike here. I'm not a member of any gangs yet. But, even on my bike ride here, I was probably 6 inches off my shoulder from a pickup truck going past me. And I bike as much as I possibly can, everywhere I can. The biggest hurdle to that is usually not the distance, but the safety logistics of navigating the circle in Winooski or getting over the bridge. So I know we're talking about LaFountain Street here and not the circle and the bridge, but that can be a step toward a more connected, safer bicycle infrastructure in this city. And the biggest thing for bike lanes is they need to be safe, ideally protected, certainly wide enough. I always laugh at bike lanes where the painting of the bike doesn't fit in the bike lane because it's too narrow, and they need to be connected. They need to get you places. They can't just end. When there are bike lanes, there are numerous studies that show that more people bike, accidents go down, pollution goes down, air quality improves, our communities are healthier. So for all of those reasons, bike lanes on LaFountain and Dion and that corridor and everywhere else in this city, frankly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Clayton Dykstra, and I'll just be frank. I'm a citizen of Burlington. And is my comment okay in this area?
Yeah, you can make one.
Okay. I live just across the river, and I just moved here. I've been here for a month, but I just wanted to echo the comments of the previous two speakers and say that I was also here for the bike and discuss the parking and versus the bike lane on LaFountain. I wasn't even sure how to pronounce the street until Peter started talking. That's how new I am. But generally, I am going to be in favor of any expansion of bike infrastructure. I am also a year-round cyclist, and I do bike through here, and I generally feel safer and enjoy an environment that is quieter and more ecological friendly and safer, not just, really for everybody. More bike infrastructure means more safety even for drivers. And so I just wanted to echo the support of the previous two speakers.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else for public comment? Carolyn, right?
Carol.
Carol.
That's
damn.
okay. That's okay. It's with a K. That's why you might get confused.
Okay.
People know it's weird and different, so they don't want to say Carol. I'm Carol Cannon. I was pleased to see the speed contraption put up on the telephone pole right at the end of my driveway, and then I was pleased to see when it was taken down. I just wondered if there was any information yet.
We haven't received any from staff yet.
Okay.
I believe, Elaine, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the data is being reviewed by someone else and then information is shared back with us.
I think it's a subcontractor. That's what I talked to him when he put it up,
Yeah.
and I talked to him when he took it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so would I maybe hear from John Rauscher? I think that's what I hoped, but
I'll
I didn't.
confirm
I
with
didn't
you
know.
after.
Okay.
We'll send an email to you.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else for public comment? Anyone on Zoom? I do see a hand raised. Oh. Carlos, I think you're on? We can't hear you if you're speaking. Try to chat him.
I am. Oh, hi. Can you
I hear you now.
Okay, great. Thanks. This is Carlos Esquivel. I'm a resident of Burlington too, and I also believe that the fountain, the bike path on the Fountain Street and on Dion Street were also on the agenda. But anyway, I just really wanted to support those bike lanes, those projects, and I wanted to echo what Peter and Clayton said. I'm also like a year-round cyclist. I am a resident of Burlington, but like La Fountain Street works as a corridor for us cyclists because we take it to go to the Gilbrook Reservoir, and then that connects to other places like Colchester and Essex. So it's like a major bike corridor. And yeah, I mean it's pretty often that like as a cyclist I feel like a second class citizen even because we are always the afterthought, like we don't have the right infrastructure, like we're expected to just like drive on the streets without any protection. So I really would like to encourage the city council members to like please listen to us like bike advocates and create like any sort of like bike infrastructure, like especially if it's protected bike lanes or separated infrastructure, that's the best that we can get out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else online or in the room? Public comment? Okay. Seeing no additional comment, we will move on to, we're at council reports now. Yes. No, sorry, consent agenda. I screwed up my document here. Okay, so we have our council meeting minutes from July 15th, the payroll warrant from July, accounts payable for August 1, subsequent to payout May 2024, subsequent to payout vendor update, and appointing the zoning administrator. Any concerns on consent agenda?
Youth Day, International.
An International Youth Day resolution, thank you. All right, any concerns on consent agenda? Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. We are now on to council reports. Aurora, would you like to start?
Sure. I realized last time I gave the wrong date, so our Inclusion and Belonging Commission is August 8th, which is now this week, this Thursday. It's going to be at 6 p.m. and we're going to be virtual over Zoom. We have on the agenda, we're going to talk about housing concerns and have our housing staff come and speak to us as well. The other items on the agenda are discussing kind of the role of chair on that commission, as well as discussion on having non-resident commission members on that particular commission.
All right, thank you. I do not have any updates at this time. Thomas?
So, Safe, Healthy, Connected People meets next week on the 13th. Downtown Winooski will meet the week after that. Safe, Healthy, Connected People did have some interviews for some more commission members, so that's really encouraging. And then on that, at the August 18th and the September 22nd Farmers Market, members of council will be there to talk to folks, to anybody who may be interested in joining a commission or has questions about the process or what it involves. And the mayor, I believe you shared it on your social media, the video we did.
Oh, yes.
Councilor Hurd, the mayor, and myself did a video about the commission process and what it's like to serve on a commission and how you can join. So you can check out the mayor's social media as well as Town Meeting TV's YouTube account to find that video. Thanks.
Thank you. Charlie?
Not too much to report this week. Not to steal your thunder, but I'd like to thank Patrice Lumumba for his interest in the Winooski Housing Commission and congratulate him on his appointment. And our next meeting will be at 6 p.m. on August 27th at City Hall, and there's a hybrid option available on Zoom.
All right, thank you. Moving on to city updates.
The statewide primary election is on Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. Voting will take place at the Winooski Senior Center, that's at 123 Barlow Street, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. To learn more about the election, view sample ballots, register to vote, request an absentee ballot, and more, please visit winooskivt.gov/vote. Did you know that City of Winooski offers 4 affordable housing funding programs under our Housing Trust Fund? These loan and limited grant programs are administered by the Opportunities Credit Union right here in Winooski. You can visit our website at winooskivt.gov/housing to learn more. There you can discover our interest rate buy down and down payment assistance programs for first-time homeowners. home improvement loans to fix or improve properties, and affordable housing construction and rehabilitation loans for real estate developers and public agencies providing affordable housing opportunities.
All right, thank you. So first up, we have the appointments to Housing Commission and Winooski Memorial Library Committee. Patrice, would you like to join us? And do we have any of the library committee members here?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Well, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself? I don't know if everyone's met you before.
Sure. My name is Patrice Lumumba, and I work at Winooski School District as a wellness coordinator for Winooski School District, and this is my 3rd year. Yeah, so that's just me, and I'm part of the community as well.
Well, I was very excited to see this recommended appointment to our Housing Commission.
Yeah.
Patrice has participated formerly in my Housing Roundtable group and has been really excellent at surfacing issues that you're seeing in our school community around housing, and then working with these other service provider and housing partners. So I think you're going to add a tremendously valuable voice to this body.
Yeah. Thank you. I do appreciate it, and I look forward to it as well.
Any questions or comments from council?
That's great.
We're lucky to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the appointments to Housing Commission and the Library Committee?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Aurora, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Now we can congratulate.
Yes. Okay, now we'll move into our regular items. First up for discussion or approval is an electric vehicle charging station planning grant application. Revi, I feel like this is your first in-person item? Was I on Zoom last time you came?
Yeah, so this is my first in-person item.
Yeah.
It's great to meet all of you in person during a city council meeting. I'm Ravi Venkatraman. I'm the director of city planning. City staff, we're looking to apply for this electric vehicle charging station grant to plan out future locations of EV charging supply equipment. With this grant, we would analyze what is the demand that's needed based on our master plan. And what we need by 2035 and by 2050, and hopefully phase out construction of EVSE all throughout the city to meet that demand. And with this too, we're hoping to figure out a plan for transitioning our fleet to EVs. This plan would give us a good foundation and make us more competitive as we apply for grants in future for EVSE in public locations.
Excellent. Is there no match involved for this?
There's no match involved, but it is
nice.
Recommended to provide a match to make us more competitive. But I think that we're prioritized according to the grant application as a underserved community. So that's something to note too.
Okay. Do folks have questions about this grant application?
No, it's great. We have talked many times about wanting EV chargers in the city, so this is fantastic.
Any questions from members of the public? Or folks on Zoom? Elaine, did you have something to add?
Yes, just note that, John Rasher, the Public Works Director, he's been thinking about this for some time, and it's great to have this opportunity to consolidate that and get more wider eyes on the plan. So appreciate Revy taking the lead on this opportunity. I feel like it's a missed opportunity for Bryn because
I know.
he's been asking for this for a long time.
Okay. Well, would someone like to make a motion to approve the EV charging station planning grant application?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always the same.
All right, we are on to item B. Also on for discussion approval, just cause eviction charter change, timeline, cost, and logistics.
Thank you again. We had, council had mentioned during the July 15th meeting the potential implications of having just cause eviction attached to the general election ballot. So I drew up the costs the logistics of how that would work. So just to give you a brief overview, it's going to be a very busy election. We had 3,743 voters that participated in the 2020 election. The checklist now is around 4,900 and expected to grow. So there will be a lot of people with the two tables. And if I was offering the just cause eviction, there would have to be 2 additional tables on either side. Plus there's poll watchers that will be coming to watch, and they have to sit right next to the entrance table. And my fear is that in all the hustle and bustle of that day, that people will be given, or all residents would be given a ballot that they weren't eligible to vote on. And I could see very easily in my mind how that could happen. Also the cost implications, I have a proposed estimate, it would be an extra $4,500, $525 extra, and that involves the coding of the ballot, the language link, the translation of the ballot, and then interpreters who we have for our local elections. So I'm just hoping, the city manager and I came up with a strict timeline that we reviewed for an hour and a half for our annual town meeting to make sure that we're in compliance. So I'm just presenting the information to you.
You're adding extra information or extra funds for interpreters, but won't there be interpreters there anyway on November?
No,
Why don't we have interpreters for November?
just for annual elections. I have translated ballots for the November in 6 languages that the state provides to Winooski and Burlington, but no interpreters.
Okay.
Well, I would like to share with council, I have spoken with several legislators since our last meeting to get a sense of where, so as Thomas mentioned, our charter change is already on a bill in the State House. From what I heard last year and more recently, it sounds pretty likely to me that that's gonna come off the wall and get discussed. How they proceed, whether it's with adoption of individual charter changes, or I know there's been discussion about a broader statewide effort. I think that's unclear. I have some degree of confidence that there will be advancement on this in the legislature. And I also sort of think that if our vote is in March, happening later in the session could be more strategic, because I think that's the point when they're gonna be like in deeper negotiation about what to actually put through the legislature. And if if this actually goes through to become, if the legislature passes it, I think there is a chance that the governor would veto it. And so, again, that would take action later on in June, in a veto session. So I feel like the timing of March might be more strategic in that sense.
Yeah. I don't agree with that. I think that's too much if. I think there is just the fact that, again, a lot of things happened. I don't want to put blame on any specific thing, but in a lot of ways I see this as us not living up to what our residents are asking for. And I really worry that us just putting all these faith in these maybes instead of having this very concrete vote and data, and we don't know who's going to be elected in November. And I don't have confidence that everyone there will fight for housing the way that they should, if they're representing Winooski at least. So I really do think we need to have the vote before the session. I think that's the best way to get it to come off the wall.
Other councilors have thoughts or
Yeah,
questions?
so I mean, I think we all know that I'm a supporter of just cause evictions, as I wrote the memo that we first looked at. I do have the concern that less about the money actually, which I'm sure surprises you all, but more about the the work that will be involved at the polls, it's going to be a historic election in terms of numbers, likely much more than we've seen ever. And I already know how stressful it is for the poll workers with the questions about why we don't ask for IDs, why people are allowed to vote who weren't born in the US. And then if we throw that into a November election when there are folks who cannot vote on a specific ballot and can vote on another ballot, I worry about what the poll workers are going to face, and also what those folks who are attending who can't vote on the general election ballot but can vote on the JCE ballot, what that could end up looking like. And I know what our volunteer numbers are for working the polls as well from having attended the meetings. I don't think we have the staff to deal with all of that. That's where my concern lies with November. Councilor Hurd, I agree with you. I feel like, you know, this was one way or another of our own doing, so prolonging it is not ideal. But I do really worry about what election day looks like in that building and the confusion and what could end up happening. As far as the legislature, they already know we want it, so I don't think November or March really matters. The folks that I've spoken to there, and it's literally on their wall, they know that our voters approved it, and they know that we approved it by massive numbers. I don't actually think our doing our vote on November or March sends any different of a message than we already sent. They know that that's what Winooski residents want. And kind of to Christine's point, they could move this forward whether we do this or not. They just chose not to last session. And yeah, we don't know what they'll do this session, but even if we vote in November, it doesn't mean that they'll do it. You know, we already voted once, and other towns have voted as well. But I do have serious concerns about our staff, people voting, and what that's going to look like on November 5th if we're adding in an additional ballot.
Jenny, do you even have enough poll workers right now?
No. You know, I'm planning on 18 people for the general election at this time. Then I would have to have another 2 for each of the all residents if we went ahead with that. So about 20. So I'm about 12.
Okay.
And you know, it's emptying the bins. Our bins hold about 500 ballots. So, you know, that would be emptied often. It takes some time to get down in there and empty the bins. It's just, it's, you know, it's just, I can see where it's just gonna be cramped. It's just gonna be crowded. And I'm just worrying about, like I said, people receiving a ballot that they're not eligible to vote on. And I could see that happening very easily.
Yeah.
And if that happens to someone, that could prevent them from gaining citizenship. If you voted in an election that you weren't
Right.
legally allowed to.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty high risk for the individual.
And then the
Yeah.
reporting at the end of the night, because I have to take the ballots and then I have to add in the all residents. So there's quite a bit of, to make sure I have my election night results, is to add in the all residents. It's just, it's complicated.
Well, I mean, and even on our town meeting day elections, like I've volunteered when I haven't been on the ballot, and if you have a couple folks who are all resident voting, there's a lot of work that is involved in that, and a lot of kind of stuff is created at that front area, and I can see very easily, with even more people showing up to vote, how that could easily turn into somebody getting the wrong ballot. That's what, yeah.
Did you have any questions, comments before I turn to public?
Yeah, I definitely share Aurora's concerns. I don't know that what we want will be included in new housing legislation specifically. And to their point as well, we don't know who's necessarily going to get elected. And also, it seems like a logistically, at this point, impossible thing to effectively and efficiently offer this voting opportunity at the next election. So,
Yeah.
I see both sides, how that's not convenient, but also, like, it, I have volunteered at the polls, and it isn't just like standing around.
Right.
So I really see where Jenny's at as far as trying to get volunteer staff for that day, and the consequences are huge for one person to have that consequence because of something that could have been prevented. Really would weigh on me, I think. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So I just had a thought when you were talking. Before the session even starts, we draft that letter that we send to legislators. What if, like, bullet 1 is like our desire for them to act on just cause eviction?
Yeah, we'll definitely add that in. I would open it to public comment if someone has a comment or a question on this topic. You're welcome to join us at the microphone. If you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand in the Zoom meeting. Okay. Oh, okay. I can't tell. I can see Chloe's hand is raised. Okay, I think Paul has brought her over.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you, and thanks to the council for this discussion. I hear the concerns about the logistics on Election Day, but I am here to share that I would strongly encourage the city to hold the revote during the November election. As everyone's already reflected, it's clearly an overwhelming majority of our city supports this policy, and I believe that having the validation vote before the next legislative session begins would better position us to be able to move forward the charter change forward in 2025. There's a lot of unknowns, but I would just encourage us to remove any barriers that exist that we have control over in enabling the legislature to move the charter change forward. And a delay in the vote, appears a few months on paper from November to March, but if that's another reason to kind of potentially table it in 2025, then that, realistically could mean pushing back these protections another year for folks who are really deeply and legitimately concerned about evictions, and especially in this moment where there's a lot of, uncertainty and instability with the reappraisal. I think I've been hearing and talking to neighbors a lot of concern about getting this, protection passed. So I'm just here to share that concern and to encourage us to consider the revote in the November election. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point about the dangers of someone potentially voting on the wrong ballot. But I'm also thinking about the dangers of, if Colin mentioned this gets pushed off another year, thinking about our residents who are being evicted without just cause right now. The folks that are losing their homes via reappraisal, via any number of things, and just, I don't know, that also feels very urgent to me in a lot of different ways.
Well, I do want to make clear for the public good that this is a validation vote. As Thomas said, we already had this vote as a community, sent it to the legislature. There's been no indication that the lack of this sort of cure process has had any influence on how it's being handled, since there is an active bill already.
Well, that's not true. This was used. This mistake has been used to push back on it by people who want to get into those weeds. Like, people who don't want this to go through will use this.
I have not heard anyone in the state legislature say that they couldn't consider the bill for this charter change until we have made the validation vote, is what I'm saying.
Yes, but they will also, it is an excuse not to continue it or to delay it another year. So there's no reason they can't. They definitely can themselves, but if they don't want to, we're giving them an excuse not to.
There are 3 other towns who didn't make the same mistake that we made, so their bills are sitting with ours without any excuse around it. No, and I've heard from folks on those committees that they could move this forward without us doing the vote. We have to do it for, I don't 100% understand why, but I know we have to. But the legislature can still move it.
We have to do it because we have not delivered on what the petition asked for.
Right, yeah.
We haven't delivered a proper vote.
Thank you.
The proper
We
public
did this so
hearing
long
time.
ago, I forget what the like
procedure.
technical reasoning was.
It was the timeline.
Right, right.
So it's not, we're not able to cure this because it wasn't something that happened at the annual town meeting.
Right.
It was something that happened in the timeline, so it's a procedural.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a redo, it's not a validation.
That's true.
That's true.
And
I think-
that feels like an even more reason someone who doesn't want this to happen could be like, well, it's not a validation, it doesn't count. It didn't count.
One could certainly make that argument. However, the bill for the change already exists, and the state legislature can act on that. They could do this to any, right? Like, they have full
Yes.
authority to change our charter in any way.
Yep.
So there is, I suppose that is the gap there is they have the bill and can act on it. What is the level of influence we think a second vote has on this item that's already in consideration and the timing of that vote?
Yeah.
We have a recommended action from staff to vote to have this on the March 4 ballot. Other motions can be made.
You have a, Connor's got it.
Oh, thank you, Elaine. Connor? Oh,
Yeah, hi, can you hear me okay?
yeah, welcome.
Oh, hi, yeah, thanks so much. I did want to just quickly, given the discussion, just speak quickly in favor of the March date for the JCE vote, just because, I mean, for 2 main reasons. One, working in the state legislature, serving as a lobbyist, that is what I have seen be more effective in introducing kind of either a reminder or kind of a new bill later in the session. I know the merger between Linden and Lindenville that happened 2 years ago now, they waited intentionally until I think it was just after crossover to even start talking about it, because they knew that is when legislators would be more open to newer ideas than they were at the session when they just get just deluged with new ideas, new bills, new conversations all the time. So that's one piece. And then the second reason why I'm speaking in favor of the March date is I'm a poll worker. I love working the polls. At each election, I absolutely love it. But we are relatively short-staffed, and so I think if we could take advantage of the later date when we have, you know, not so much to focus on in the presidential election, that'd also be great. But that's just my personal experience. Thanks.
Thank you. Does someone want to make the recommended action motion to vote to have this on the March 4 ballot?
Can I make it with an edit? Or do we have to do this
What
one
would the
first?
edit be?
Just that in the letter that we sent to the legislature before the session, that it includes our hope that they will act on just cause eviction.
So you want a motion to put this on the March 4 ballot and include it in our letter to legislators ahead of, okay. Do I have a second for that? If there is no second, the motion will fail.
I have a question.
Sure.
Even if it was on the sooner ballot, the state still needs to approve it, right?
Yes.
Like, so we're not really preventing any evictions between now and whenever they pick it up, right?
That's
and I'm not
true.
trying to challenge you. I just want to make sure that I'm not making a decision with half the information that I need. So.
Correct, but if they do, again, use this as an excuse to push it off, and then it isn't, yeah, there's further down the line, it could just extend the process for longer. But no immediate there would be no immediate change.
And I do deeply share your concerns. I don't have a lot of faith at the moment in this being carried with immediacy. And also, like I said in my comments before, I feel like we're strapped for hands and time to make this happen. And with that, I second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Charlie. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining?
All opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to say that when we found out that this had to be a redo instead of a validation, that I do think that should have been communicated to the council sooner. I do find that, like, that completely took any choice away from it being during this March election. I mean, maybe the timeline was already too far along.
It was.
But it meant that we couldn't have this conversation about having it in August or having, it just kind of prevented conversations that we could have had.
Yes, I hear that. It was too late for March, but it wouldn't have been too late for August.
Okay, we are on to item C, on for discussion approval to finalize our policies, priorities, and strategies. And if you'll forgive me, I have to pull my notes up on my phone since I have the wrong computer. Okay, so following our June retreat, we said that we would reaffirm or adjust priorities for the coming year. You know, we were fairly aligned that most of this work was ongoing. We didn't have a lot of the intent to add a lot of large new things. And so we looked at our existing 23-24 document. I solicited input from all of you individually to inform what you see tonight. Completed items were removed. Language was updated for ongoing projects to reflect their current status, but also keep them here as priorities to show, you know, a lot of resources are going into some of these things. The one categorized as MI4 was moved to must do at the suggestion of multiple counselors. There were few suggestions to add anything by council, and there was no alignment between anyone, so I didn't add any of those. I did invite staff to bake in their recommendations, so you'll see 3 new items that staff added, which actually do align a little bit with some council stuff. And while I did invite everyone to vote on their top 5, that's not included now because there are new items that could influence that. So we have a couple of goals tonight. One is to settle on this final list, do our top 5 votes so staff know where our highest priorities are. And then part 2 is we'll discuss commission and community engagement once we've adopted priorities. So I think first I would just invite comment if on this list, is there something that you still feel like should change or something that's missing that should be added? Yeah.
Okay. The one that I have 2 things which are moving kind of moving some things into the must do. The first is H5 for housing, because it's continued to explore updated ordinances, unified land use, development, housing priorities, including renter protections. So my argument for this moving up is, 1, we kind of have to do it with H47 or Act 47. Act 47 anyway. So to me, that's already making it a must do. We were just talking about just cause eviction, that's under renter protections. There's just a lot of things that, to me, it already feels like a must do, and I'd love to see it acknowledged as such. So that's kind of the first one that I have.
Yeah, that work is in progress and ongoing, and I have heard this priority from council.
Yeah.
Elaine, is there any staff concern with that?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we can make that change.
We have a whole position dedicated to this, so what is she gonna do if not?
Okay.
Plus, of course, Revy.
Yes.
the one other one, and this might be hard to do with staffing, and I don't know if language would need, but Safe Healthy Connected 7 around the fire station to accommodate the 24/7 staffing. To me, the public safety impact fee, I do really support that and think we should look into it, but if it's kind of blocking this from being moved to a higher priority, I don't know, I just think it should be a higher priority from what we've heard from the chief and just kind of how it's gone up, or even if some of it should be moved under Safe Healthy Connected 2, which is the recruitment and retention for fire and code staff. I don't know, I feel like we've tried a lot of things to try and get that better recruitment and retention, and to have the fire station staffed up to safety standards for both Winooski and the staff there. And it hasn't worked yet, so these renovations and exploring the possibility of them feel very urgent to me.
Elaine, you can weigh in. My interpretation, this says to finalize plans. I think we're not 100% certain that's the next thing to do.
We're not 100% when that would be. I don't know, I'm 70% sure that eventually we'll have to have that conversation. But some softening of that, I could see that as a must-do.
Yeah, because it's possible future renovation too. There's both the finalized plans.
That's true.
Possible.
It's a little ambiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. With that ambiguity in place,
Like if you did something like present plan to council for a future renovation as a must-do and added to the recruitment, I think that that would be clearer.
okay.
Yeah, because I do see the public safety impact fee being part of that, but that could also be kind of separated out.
Other counselors have comments on this list?
I agree with those things. I appreciate seeing EV1 on here. I think we went into this not wanting to add things, so I hadn't suggested something like this, but I'm glad that staff did raise that.
Yeah, I know staff sees it a priority, and our finance commission was pressing on it too.
Yep.
Anything from you, Charlie?
I really love the addition of SHCP 6. I think that'll take, if we can work around that and work with that and find a way to help those folks, that'd take a lot of pressure off of our police force.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure. And as we've discussed, they're not the group of folks that are trained for those types of calls, typically speaking, and that's why we have the partnership with Howard Center. So I think it's really proactive, that piece.
Yeah, and I think this applies to both police and fire.
Mm-hmm.
We have folks,
Yeah.
high volume callers, right, and would ideally free up their capacity for additional things.
Mm-hmm.
And community services is more stress than that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will invite, if there's any public comment on the priorities list, maybe we can screen share it.
While you're doing that, so just for the public's benefit, EV1 that the deputy mayor mentioned was explore and advanced ways to support businesses impacted by Main Street construction, and then SHC, Safe, Healthy, Connected People 6 is explore ways to support residents generating frequent calls for service. And EV is economic vitality.
I just chatted Paul to see if he could share it. I don't have
Give
screen
me
share.
2 minutes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Oh, should I call a recess while he pulls it up and then people have a chance to look at it?
Good idea, 'cause we have to rank them.
Okay, I've got 7. We'll do a 5-minute recess. Reconvening at 7:05.
We're ranking our
So
top five.
if you want to check it out, there's a few minutes of reading time. So I would like to first take a vote to adopt this as our final policies, priorities, and strategies, and then we can have the follow-up discussions.
Perfect.
Do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year? Oh, wait. First, was there any input or questions from members of the public? Okay. Or on Zoom. If you are on Zoom and had a question or a comment, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the fiscal year 24-25 policy priorities and strategies with items H5, with item H5 moved into a must-do category, and language to present a plan to council regarding possible renovation of the firehouse moved into SHCP 2?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Elaine, would it be valuable for you to take our votes now, or should we send those just individually via email on the top 5?
Either way is fine.
Okay.
If you want a little bit extra time, we're not gonna change
Yeah.
drastically what we're gonna do in the next week, so.
Let's as a next step, just email Elaine directly,
Perfect.
whatever your top 5 are.
Okay.
Okay. So let's now discuss commission engagement. There are some notes here from what was either we had from last year. There were a couple of new suggestions, and then I ran this through staff as well. Ideally, I would like to leave today with at least high level for each of these. What is the outcome we're looking for? So we have a clear direction for each commission on the individual items. So we could start at the top and work our way down. Our first one is integrating equity considerations into staffing and operations and the scope of the equity director role. And so we have inclusion and belonging, engaged to react to the proposed model. Does that still feel fitting and appropriate? Is it clear enough? And when I say proposed model, I think this is a pretty big bucket,
Yeah.
so.
Right. I mean, not to put a lot of work on all the commissions, but I almost wonder if this is something that should be on the agenda for each commission at some point. I think it makes sense for inclusion and belonging to maybe be leading the work on this, but if we truly want equity consideration into all aspects of our operations, I wonder if there should be one meeting for each commission where they talk about it. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I could see that, so depending what work streams, like discrete things are involved in
Yeah.
this area, inclusion and belonging can be engaged for input as things are developed. And then that could be shared maybe at a joint meeting with other commissions. It's
Yeah,
hard to say.
I was thinking maybe including more input before there's the proposed model,
Yeah.
and then the proposed model itself, I think might be useful.
So gathering input from the commission
Yeah,
to develop proposals.
or maybe not for them to develop proposals, but if they're thoughts from staff.
Yeah, like initial questions.
Yeah, of what should we be looking at? Yeah.
Okay. The next one is to develop and implement inclusive community engagement plan for staff. So we had previously asked for inclusion and belonging and safe, healthy, connected people to react to a proposed model from staff. Does that still feel right?
Yeah.
Continue to work on language access. same thing, inclusion, belonging, and safe, healthy, connected people, react to proposed model.
Yeah.
The newest one, carry out, H2, carry out equitable housing needs assessment. We have housing, planning, and inclusion and belonging. Since this was a staff ad, Elaine, was there something, are there any already like sort of clear desired inputs or outcomes? Or is the work too early to say that?
We had an idea when we put out the proposals, which we need to revisit. So at this
Okay.
point, I'm not sure exactly what we would propose asking commissioners for.
Okay. Well, and I don't think we know enough to say that either, but these feel like the right groups to folks?
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay. For H5, this is updating land use regulations related to housing. We've got Housing and Planning Commission already engaged on this, and inclusion and belonging is starting to, I think with Jasmine joining.
Yep.
SHCP 1, sale of O'Brien Community Center, finalizing design, fundraising. We have the SHCP and Library Committee engaged to react to the design.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
possibly, I don't know if this would be useful for, I wonder if those could also be engaged to, I don't know, provide some additional input on how to connect with folks that are currently using those spaces. I don't know if that would be useful.
You mean other than the library? Or the library?
For the community center and the library. Or do you think just them reacting to the redesign?
Are you saying like having them provide some guidance for how to get community members engaged when we get to the
Yeah.
like community process?
Yeah. Use them as part of the engagements, I'm not sure.
It's a little tricky because,
The Champlain Housing Trust is,
we've engaged with not just the lessors, but also the renters,
Mhm.
about it already, and I'm trying not to fall prey to, well, we're too far along now, but that is what's running through my mind. We've changed the design several times already. I just don't want to create a false opportunity if that becomes what it is. But it's also not set yet, so.
Well, aren't we planning some sort of community engagement within the space when we're further down the plans?
Yes, but not necessarily in a way where they get to dictate what changes about the
Yeah.
the blocking.
But I think what you're saying is when that event is scheduled, that these commissions can help with outreach planning to spread the word, or like get people to come.
Oh, I'll certainly welcome that.
Okay.
That's what was meant.
Oh wait, sorry. Did
but
you have more?
the react to the design, are you saying that?
Oh,
For the library part, which actually I guess I wasn't clear. Right, react to the design of the library is absolutely something that we're looking for.
Okay. But react to the, like, designs for the OCC?
That was, it wasn't clear enough. That wasn't what I was
Okay.
intending by that, just the library.
so within the library space, there is some opportunity for their input to be incorporated.
Right.
Okay.
For example, the survey that they put out at, during Winooski Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
No.
Okay, so then we have SHCP4, managing staffing shortages, not overworking in the PD, exploring public safety. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, retention and facility improvements, because we do also have some of those planned in the police department. So we have SHCP to participate in discussion on priorities. What priorities? Priorities of what?
Well, if we're short-staffed, is there
Yeah.
something that we don't do?
Right, okay.
I mean, we are short-staffed.
Correct.
Have been for some time.
Well, we did just get two people to the academy, right?
Yes, so we're now, if hopefully they make it through, then we're 6 months out to them being on the road on their own.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of time that our current police officers are covering overtime and taking a lot of calls when some of them are able to sneak away for a well-earned vacation.
Yeah.
We have our new SHCP 6, exploring ways to support residents, generating frequent calls for service, engaging SHCP to react to proposal. Again, I don't think we can get real specific here without. Number 7, finalizing plans for the possible renovation of the fire station. We have SHCP for reviewing plans, and Finance Commission for reviewing proposed impact fee. I think for Finance Commission, a proposed impact fee makes sense. Like, we've had them look at some things with policies like that before. For the review of plans, this is an area where I would ask from staff, like, what kind of input would they be able to have? Or are there particular areas that make sense?
That is a good question. So this is one of those areas where it is a very expensive proposition to build places where people can stay overnight, so that they can staff the city for a fire response. And, you know, a commission of lay folks may or may not have like a very informed opinion about what it should look like, oh, you shouldn't have a sprinkler there, it should be over here. But it is one of those opportunities for a commission to, of lay people to get a better understanding of why we're proposing such a big thing, and then help get community engagement on that, explain it to other folks, bring us any concerns about that generally. So it's with that in mind that we have that on there as a reaction.
Yeah, and I think as we alluded to, it's like there's multiple ways that we can look at this, and maybe that's what they explore. Is it this 24/7 sleeping situation? Is that what residents really are looking to pay for?
Right, I mean, yeah. There's standards right now that we aren't meeting.
Oh, yeah.
They're
It's that
not,
drive time, right? Like, we need to have people in Winooski in the middle of the night, right? It's that our hiring pool is so limited because we can only hire folks that are within, what is it?
4 minutes.
How many? Yeah. I'm sorry, I spoke over you. I apologize for that.
Okay. Right, so that's an example of a standard that we're not able to recruit more folks to meet. Our current staff meets that. So be able to make that case to that group about that expense. Whether or not we meet the standards, that feels like a very dicey situation to put anyone in, commissioners included. But it helps with the conversation with the voting public.
The next one is SHCP 8, making progress on the Parks and Open Space Plan, finalizing management plan for Memorial Park. Has SHCP reacting to that proposal. And then SHCP 9, future plans for St. Stephen's. SHCP if sale results in potential changes to use of property. The sale could result in no changes. So then the question is, these items where there's no commission engagement
Yeah.
identified, should there be? Does someone have thoughts about where input could be helpful? I can share that, let me check my lineup here. Bryn had suggested for Main Street and the bridge, having the Municipal Infrastructure Commission do like a quarterly check-in on those, since they're moving forward.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't, do we even have John here? I know from staff, like, there's not a lot of input, like, nothing would really change. So unsure of the value of that.
Right.
Is that fair to say, Elaine?
That's what our feeling is, yes.
One thing I could see though is, again, thinking about like providing information out to the communities / if there is a need, like, hey, we're getting this particular complaint and it doesn't seem to be, people aren't seeming to respond to it or understand it. Can you all kind of look at it and help us brainstorm ways to communicate? Because we have those complaints coming in on Main Street. Could there be some of those that, like, getting commission input on how to give the information back to the community might be helpful? So
Well-
more on like the communication side than the like actual plans for the bridge or Main Street, but more on the like general community input and information.
In theory, yes. However, if we've heard about it at all, then we're responding to it. So it's more like if there were complaints we weren't hearing about, and I don't know how we would know that was happening without already knowing.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing if there are complaints that you know about and have heard, but people aren't responding to the answers you're giving, or the answers that the contractors are giving.
We haven't come, not to say that it won't, but we haven't come across that yet. They seem to be getting resolved with the current processes.
Okay, I think the one other thing I could see is if like the municipal infrastructure folks have heard about complaints, that just like checking in, like, here are the complaints that we're hearing in the community, are those what's being responded to? Or are those actually coming in and being responded to? So like, could that help with any blind spots?
Well, you have two members
Yeah,
if you want to ask.
do you want to engage in this discussion at all? You're welcome to join.
I'm Michelle Metzler. I'm the chair of the Municipal Infrastructure Commission. I mean, just in general, we would appreciate the opportunity to continue meeting. We've been pretty unanimous in that we feel like it's useful to have that touch point, not being able to predict what is going to happen necessarily. So those projects are, proceeding well, but we don't personally, we haven't seen the value in meeting less regularly than we are, so.
That's helpful. I do want to ask, should you be meeting and it feels really like information sharing, like if we don't have a direct, we need this policy reviewed, or like there's like an outcomes goal, does that still feel valuable?
I think there's been meetings where it has felt valuable, where we haven't had a lot on the agenda, and it's turned out that John had a project that was kind of on the back burner that we've had an opportunity to discuss and provide, input on. It's given us an opportunity to think more about kind of bigger picture, longer term projects that around like protecting public lands and like Gilbrook and areas like that otherwise would get kind of lost in the shuffle of more significant, like immediate tasks. So we've always filled the time, and when we haven't, it's felt pretty amicable. I don't know. So we had this conversation in our last meeting, and everyone was on board with meeting as much as you'll allow us to. So.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Don't leave.
Okay.
If you don't mind. So MI4, planning to address base city infrastructure financial needs, including sidewalks. I wonder if the including sidewalks piece is maybe something that the commission could look at. I'm thinking like and this is why I said don't leave, 'cause I don't know like what your bandwidths look like, but like an inventory of what streets need sidewalk work, like something like that, like an inventory of what streets have, you know, should have crossing areas, but the paint has all eroded and you can't see it anymore. You know, I know that John's team tries to look at that as they're out in the city and doing stuff, but even though we're small, we're also big and at the same time. So just something that came to mind.
Yeah, I would say that the problems with sidewalks and line striping has not been a lack of awareness.
Yeah.
It's budgetary and it's also just timelines. So we do know what sidewalks need to be replaced. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that until there's major work happening on that particular road. Or, you know, are we doing kind of a redesign? Then do we need a scoping study first, and then the scoping study is happening? So with line striping, that's been about having consistent like budgets,
Right.
and that's something that's been more resolved, and also just about availability of road workers, like there's just been availability of people to come and do the
Okay.
work. So
So
yes,
you think
absolutely.
you have the data, it's just the money.
We absolutely have the data about, and roads too. So we have maps of all the roads that need resurfacing and kind of what the timeline is to do that. It's just we can't do them all this year, nor would you want us to.
Yeah. Another suggestion Bryn had made was engaging municipal infrastructure on, what are we calling it? Informing outreach efforts for airport noise mitigation program. But I'm not sure how to achieve that since we don't manage that program.
Yeah.
The airport does, and they don't do what we tell them. Like, is that something that you all have discussed in the past at all?
I don't recall that too.
No, I don't recall. We go over the updates from like
Yeah.
their meetings, but we
Yeah.
haven't discussed that.
Okay. I was unfortunately unable to connect with her ahead of this meeting. I wanted to like talk through some of this stuff, so
Yeah.
there might be more to come when I do get a chance to talk to her. But if there, wait, I feel like maybe you were about to say something.
No.
Okay.
I'm always about to say something, so thank you for that, yeah.
One thing I can see with that is, I mean, the Housing Commission weighs in on like the Housing Trust Fund. I know that that is something we have more control over.
Yeah.
I don't know if there might be some similar things though with that. Just like, how can the city communicate out about it? Even just that.
Yeah. I'll talk to our airport commissioner at some point about it.
Yeah.
I think those were, I thought there was one more. Oh, she also had noted, for EB2, implement specific initiatives identified as part of the working committee's challenge of grant objectives. Elaine, is there something in there specific to infrastructure?
Let's see, I'm doing the inventory in my head. They've talked about support for youth, which is mostly programmatic. Supporting BIPOC businesses and entrepreneurs, and piece on housing, more housing. So no,
Okay.
not this time. They might evolve, of course, but not right now.
Okay, I'll have to follow up with her on that too, if there's something more that I'm not aware of. Did you see anything on the list that you found interesting? On the priorities?
I mean, all of it. I think we're in a position of like being like ready to work, and like we're all excited and invested, and so I'd also say if there are things that aren't like a perfect fit for municipal, I know we have a lot of interest in housing, so things that are really like if there's a way to make it, you know, correlate that, I think we've been pretty motivated to get stuff done.
That's helpful to hear too, is sometimes like joint meetings can be really productive.
Absolutely. I know we've had overlap with the planning commission and finance and.
Yeah, Bryn and I actually talked about if there might ever be an interest in just like checking in with IMB and municipal infrastructure. If there's both just time when these two commissions could talk to each other and figure out that some overlap or support.
Okay.
Sidewalks is definitely an area of overlap.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on commission engagement? I can put some notes together, and it sounds like we'll need to do a little bit of follow-up to really have
Yeah.
something fleshed out, but thank you for coming up,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So then, let's talk about community engagement. We have our community access engagement procedure that identifies a number of groups to which we can do targeted outreach. So what we had previously, how we had thought about this in the past was like, let's reach out to these various groups, meet people where they are, and come with a share, like a list of things that we want to tell and get input on. And so I would love if we could identify what those items are. I will share a list I started. One is about if we can share information about the public building registry updates, the airport noise mitigation program, housing and zoning changes, O'Brien Community Center, potential transfer of ownership of Memorial Park, and then just general outreach ahead of budget, like what are your priorities for services, programs? Are those good, and are there additional things that we think are high priority to do some engagement on right now?
I think those are good. I think we should add the timelines for Main Street and the timelines for the bridge construction.
That's good.
Yeah, I also think those are good. I think it might be helpful just to let people know that we're doing this equitable housing needs assessment, because that's something that comes up a lot, like gentrification, and letting folks know we're thinking about that and getting some more data.
And so thinking about outreach, you know, Thomas, you've already got us scheduled for some farmers market dates. I was thinking we could reach out to the housing authority properties and try to do a series there again. I think we can do, you know, senior center coffee chats in the future. Do folks want, we've also got our Musk and Congolese contacts. We could try to reach out again to, I've never successfully made contact with the Nepali Association. Or talk to the school district about doing interpreted gatherings, like we did 2 years ago, I think. Which Elaine and I will be meeting together with the board chair and superintendent later this month, so
That might be a good
I can
time.
investigate if that's, you know, if they actually have the capacity to support that. And I think they're talking about engagement at their upcoming retreat, so maybe we can find some alignment and like joint activities.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah, do you want me to prioritize like the housing authorities? And
Yeah.
maybe give another try to the Nepalese Association?
Yeah, do you have the contact person for housing authority?
Is it in the spreadsheet?
It should be.
It's in the
Okay, I'll
spreadsheet.
check the spreadsheet.
Okay.
And if
'Cause
it's
there was
not,
somebody
I'll
we were
ask
working
you.
with there.
Yeah, I forgot what her name is.
Are there other like outreach opportunities anyone wants us to prioritize? I say prioritize because we're never gonna be able to schedule everything
Yeah.
with everyone. Obviously, we can always, this is like an ongoing discussion we can work
Yeah.
on. Any public comments? Is there a group or meeting space or something that we should be going to that we haven't thought of? Let me check the Zoom too to see if anyone's on there. Oops. Okay. So thank you for taking the next steps, engagement liaison. I will pull together like a list of high-level outline of the points we just mentioned as priorities, so we can have a shared kind of list. And then, of course, we'd be inviting in too from folks, like, what do they want us to know, what do they want to discuss? Oh, and one last thing. We had, in our previous discussion around commission procedures, discussed resident requirement. And so I wanted to ask, and we can't take action on this, but if council's just aligned on chairs being required to be residents, we could take that action, or we can ask inclusion and belonging if they want to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the chair should at least be a resident. I think it's still might be worthwhile to have INB look into the broader idea.
Yeah, I don't know if it fits in with some of our items for this week's meeting, but definitely can put that on the agenda for.
Great.
How many non-resident chairs do we have? Do we know?
None are chairs right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was expressed as a concern. Do we want to like?
I love
qualify
proactivity.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That reaches the end of my notes, but are we missing anything in this discussion about priorities and engagement?
Not at this phase, I don't feel.
Okay. Fantastic. We have our guiding document to move forward now.
Much appreciated.
So this is the end of the regular agenda. We do have an executive session warned tonight. So pursuant to state statute section 3132, the negotiation of real estate purchase or lease options related to temporary easements for the Burlington-Winooski Bridge. I'm seeking a motion to find that premature general public knowledge regarding this issue would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the city's risks disclosing its negotiation strategy if it discusses this item in public.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm now looking for a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss this item under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1A of the Vermont statutes. And are we inviting?
Me, John, Angela, Bob Kleinfelter, and Bob Palma, actually.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thomas, second by Aurora. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will now move into executive session, and we will be discussing solely this topic. No actions will be taken in executive session, and we will come out of it solely to adjourn this meeting.